Aquila is Mandoria's brand new Vekoma LIM launch coaster and the first coaster to open in 2025. So how does it stack up? Find out in this review. Mandoria is an indoor theme park located in Łódź, Poland, a country that in recent years has made great strides in the amusement industry. Mandoria itself is a park that has relatively little traffic in the enthusiast community, understandably so due to its lack of headlining rides. I visited Mandoria last year for the first time, January of 2024, and was enamoured by Mandoria's immersive themed environments, but wanted more in the way of ride hardware. So you can imagine my excitement when they announced Aquila. I rode Aquila over 100 times over its first 3 days of operation, so I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how it rides. It probably says something that I visited the park on 3 separate days to ride Aquila, but this ride rocks. Mandoria is an expansive park, but the building it's located in is only about 30 feet tall. So the park had to get pretty creative with the layout for Aquila, and built a tower of around 70 feet that houses the first part of the ride's layout. This tower is prominently located off the side of a main road and is well placed to lure in riders. Unfortunately, it appears the tower hasn't quite been finished yet, but I find this actually enhances the ride experience. More on that in a bit. Mandoria has built a very highly detailed queue for Aquila, taking you past loads of medieval scenery, a trebuchet sporting an eagle, and also taking you right alongside the coaster itself. Aquila is unfortunately quite difficult to film, but this queue provides a few decent opportunities to do so. Aquila starts with an LIM launch of around 43 miles per hour, and there's these really cool lights that surround you as you launch. This launch has a decent kick to it, and it's interesting in that it seems to have multiple pulses of acceleration as you traverse the launch track. At the end of the launch, you ascend right up to the ride's highest point inside the tower. In the front, you get a decent burst of positive forces as you ascend. These forces get weaker towards the rear of the train, but it's still quite forceful. Expanding on my earlier point about the tower being unfinished, this takes place in pitch black. There's a little bit of light bleeding in from the unfinished windows, but not too much. Once it's dark outside and there is no light bleeding in, it is completely pitch black in that tower, and following just happens to be one of the most surprising bursts of airtime I have ever experienced on a roller coaster. If you've ridden Taron at Phantasialand, you might be familiar with that moment after the second launch where you rise up into the overbank, S-bend, and then whip downwards. Aquila does something similar with a quick transition down and to the left. Towards the back of the train, this provides a surprisingly forceful pop of air, especially if you're sat on the left-hand side. It hits on the right also, but the way the train rotates seems to hit more on the left. It's a really cool moment, and if you're lucky enough to ride Aquila while it's pitch black, it can really take you by surprise. Following this moment is a quick double up, which provides a nice moment of floater airtime on both humps no matter where you are on the train, if Aquila has warmed up. I thought the second hump provided slightly stronger floater than the first one, and provided lift no matter how long Aquila had been running for, but it was better towards the end of the day. All the while there is a fantastic near miss. Aquila has loads of these head choppers during the ride, and they really enhance the feeling of speed. Despite reaching a top speed of around 43 miles per hour, it feels a heck of a lot faster than that due to all the close interactions with the absolutely fantastic theming elements. Aquila then quickly traverses an S-bend, starting left then right. It's a really quick transition that results in a, keep in mind this is a family coaster, relatively forceful right-hand turn. Aquila then rises up into a mini wall stall. It's very weirdly profiled to provide some very nice floater airtime. It's nice. It's probably the best moment on the ride, and once Aquila has warmed up, it provides a very nice pop of airtime upon exiting. I love how dynamic Aquila's forces are. They transition very quickly from positives to negatives, and this is a prime example of that. Riders in all rows will experience solid floater airtime when the ride is warmed up, but I tend to find this element more consistently hits in the back, especially on the right hand seat. It's also the only moment on Aquila that takes place outside of darkness, so the transition from dark to light really does enhance that sense of speed. There's also a really neat head chopper for a building. You then bank to the right, getting another burst of positives, and pass by a really nice projected theming element, before the train rises into a quick, highly banked turn to the left. If you're sitting on the right, there's a weird moment of sideways floater. It's not very strong, but it's unfortunately a sensation that you don't feel if you're sat on the left. There's another quick S-bend before riders traverse a 180-degree turn to the left. This turn is again surprisingly positive heavy and provides some very nice forces. Aquila then re-enters the station and enters the launch again for another lap, if it wasn't good enough already. I think Aquila is a fantastic addition to Mandoria, and is the ride the park needed the most. It's a perfect ride for families, and dynamic and forceful enough to satisfy enthusiasts. I couldn't have asked for anything better. I think Aquila is a masterpiece, and despite very much being a family coaster, is still one of my favourite rides that Vekoma have built. It's a fantastic package, from the incredible sense of speed to the forces to the ride's layout and the way it interacts with that theming. Not to mention, this thing has a height restriction of just 95 centimetres, or just over 37 inches. I strongly doubt there's another roller coaster in the world with the same height restriction that even comes close to the ride experience provided by Aquila. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to get back to Mandoria at some point later in the future. If you're visiting Poland for Energylandia, Legendia, or the upcoming Hossoland, which I expect to be at when it opens later on in May, I think it would be absolutely foolish to pass up a visit to Mandoria. It's beautiful, and now home to what is, in my opinion, the best family coaster I've ever ridden, and even up there with some of my favourite coasters in general. Aquila earns a perfect 10 out of 10 from me for absolutely smashing it when it comes to family coasters. It's a fantastic addition, and with Camille now at Vekoma, I cannot wait to see what they produce in the future. Hey, thanks for watching my first upload to this channel. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do hit that like and subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me and push me to making more videos just like this one. Have a great day.